Welcome back, everybody. Mike Francesca, you know me, eXp Realty. And today I have a guest with us, Nick Deckard, who has been with eXp since April of 2021. He's been in real estate for the last 2 years, and he covers the Ocean City, New Jersey area. That's his island. He's killing it over there with $8 million in sales this last year. Solo team doing it all by himself. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're not even prospecting, right?
Not even prospecting. There is no cold calling, no door knocking. I don't reach out directly to a single soul, and it is beautiful.
That's awesome. We'll dive into that in a minute, but I mean, I just think that's incredible. So yeah, I wanted to get you on here. We kind of talk about, your background, maybe some numbers, how you're liking things at eXp, Wolfpack, things like that. So why don't you get started? I'll hand it off to you. You give us your background.
No, I appreciate it, Mike, and thanks for having me on. It's an honor, and I told you beforehand off camera, I could talk about, you give me 3 hours or 5 hours, I will talk passionately about this stuff. So I will do my best to keep it concise for your audience here. So, I started with a team at RE/MAX right before the pandemic hit, and was trained in, I'll say, the traditional ways of doing business. Have to have X amount of connects per day, making phone calls, going through a database. And it just felt wrong. As much as this is a sales job, I'm not a salesman, right? As you would traditionally think of a salesman. There's a reason why realtors are trusted just slightly more than used car salesmen, right? Because of the way that business is typically and traditionally done. So we have to battle that every day. And fortunately, through finding the wolf pack, finding the methods that are preached inside of there by our fearless leaders, Mike Sherrard and Connor Steinbrook, I don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. I've now found a way to have people reaching out to me. That was one of my first questions to my team lead is, when does that happen? At what point in this journey, after busting my ass for X amount of years, will my phone start to ring with not robocalls, right? And people who I want to work with and past clients and all that stuff. And the answer was, well, it depends, but probably 10 plus years once you've built enough of a backlog of past clients. And I don't know about you. I'm not waiting 10 years for that. Absolutely. No way in hell am I going to be doing what I did not like to do, what was told was kind of required, for 10 years. A couple months, I survived, but figured out the way.
I can relate to that. I was at a boutique brokerage here locally, and, I that was the first brokerage I was with. And so coming out of the gate, I really didn't know what to expect. And it was the same thing, it was like, here's your door knock, script, right? Here's what you want to do here. Here's your cold call script. You need to be calling, 200 people a day to make, 20 contacts to get 2 leads to get 1 listing, right? Or something like that. And whatever those numbers were, and then you plan out your year. And, I feel the same way when I was out there, door knocking and cold calling. It wasn't fulfilling. Even when I'm getting clients, yeah, the first couple of clients were nice, but, it was just not fulfilling, right? It's like, yes, I got a client, but then now tomorrow, guess what? I got to go back to it again, right? And it was just, it's not a scalable model, and we're looking to do things a little bit differently. So before we jump into your numbers, do you want to talk about, maybe why you joined eXp? And then we can, dive into how this new form of marketing and this new form of client attraction is working for you.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to be, saying anything that is totally new, but hopefully somebody's going to hear this and really hear it. Yeah. So going into real estate, right? You can start on a team, you can start solo, but the traditional path and the traditional model to not having to grind 60, 80 hours a week for the rest of your life, only to never retire and just die someday, right? That's the sad reality for a lot of agents, is to grow a team, right? That's great. Well, guess what? I started on a team and quickly realized, obviously, yes, I needed to learn the ropes. I needed to learn some things about the market and the business. And I'm glad for that time. My team lead was awesome. I have not a bad thing to say about my team. RE/MAX has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with the future of real estate and what happens on a team when an agent becomes, higher producing and gets their confidence, gets their own leads coming in. What do you think they do? Are they going to continue paying that commission and that split? Or are they going to go out on their own and then maybe start their own team? You're going to be churning. It's going to be a chop shop, right, of agents, unless you're paying out exactly what they deserve, in which case you're not getting anything from having a big team of strong agents, right? So what's the point?
Still having to support them as well.
Correct. Absolutely. Now, my first experience with eXp was seeing Mike Sherrard's ads. And I joked with you about this off camera. He was everywhere. He was absolutely everywhere. And I saw it for months. And, I'm trying to figure my own stuff out with Facebook marketing, trying to find this new way, because traditional wasn't cutting it for me. It was getting business, but it was painful, right? There was no celebration. It was more relief when something would finally come. And it's like, this is not sustainable. It's definitely not scalable. So saw his face everywhere. And eventually one day I said, you know what, let me just click on one of these damn ads and see what it's about. I got sucked down the rabbit hole on his YouTube channel because it's engaging and it just makes sense, right? There is no sale. There's no sell. There's no, hey, call me and then we can talk about maybe what this model looks like and maybe how it works. He presents it, he leads with value. And that value, I consumed that all night until I booked a call with him the very next day and said, you don't need to convince me about anything. There's no questions that I have. Where do I sign? It's that simple. It's that simple. So
I had the exact same experience. We talked about this off camera a little bit the other day. Excuse me. I had the exact same experience. It was just like, who is this guy? Right. At first, you're like, who is this guy popping up everywhere? Then you get that one video or that one thing you click on, and then all of a sudden you have just a wealth of knowledge, right? Like you said, he leads with value, and that's a core principle, right? Because what people don't understand, especially when we're talking to other agents about potentially joining eXp, is that we have all the value available. You just have to come on over, and anybody can recreate these systems that have been put in place using all the guides and training that are out there from Connor and Mike, right?
Bingo.
Yeah. So you saw the value in this, right? You decided, you know what, this is for me. You called, signed me up. I know how it goes. I know lots of other agents feel the same way, right? And you started with eXp, and then what happened? What happened to your business from there once you started with the Wolfpack?
So from there, it was drinking from a fire hose, right? There's so much knowledge out there for us in the Wolfpack that's stored on Google Drive, that's in the Social Agent Academy, production training, investment training, agent attraction, everything you can think of. It's there and it's ready for you to consume and learn from, on top of all of the value add calls, right? 4 masterminds per week, talking about everything you can think of, goal planning, mindset, production, whatever. It's all there. So I was drinking from a fire hose. I decided, as Connor I know always preaches, slow down to speed up. So coming over from Remax, getting clients quickly was not my concern. I wanted to build a strong foundation and really know what I'm doing so that this is scalable for me, so that sooner than later, I don't have to worry about where my clients are coming from anymore. So I took the entire summer, basically. I think I had one deal the entire summer while I was building my YouTube channel, building my audience. The bigger thing for me, and I know we'll talk about this here shortly, my Facebook group, my private Facebook group I built out is my bread and butter. And my phone rings, my email's blowing up. I get messages weekly, sometimes multiple times a day from different people. And their stories are all wide ranging. Some have never talked to an agent before, and this is going to be their first time. And they've seen my face, they've heard my voice, they've seen what I know, and they want me to work with them.
Yep.
Great. I've had others come and say, you provide so much value, and I really am not happy with my current agent. Would you consider helping us? What do you think my answer is?
Of course. And that's
first, do you have any signed agency agreements? Of course. And if the answer is no, then absolutely, let's do this. Yeah. So I joke that it's happening so frequently. I'm having to almost coach some of these people through breaking up with their other agent. I'll say, how do I do this? How does this work? Touchy subject, but there's a good and a bad way to do it. So I genuinely try to help them, as if I was on the other end, because let's be real. If you're in this business, you've lost clients to other agents. Yeah, it happens, right? Whether it's justified or not is irrelevant. It's a part of the business. It does happen. So I put myself in their shoes. What would make me least frustrated? Anywho.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, with all of the value that is in the Wolfpack, I started slowly, built a strong foundation, and it's taken off like a rocket ship since then. And I'm doubling down now for 2022 on my content creation in hopes of scaling even further.
That's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And like we said at the start of this call, this last year, how much did you do?
8 million.
8 million. And are you comfortable sharing your GCI on that? You don't have to.
No, that was just over 140K.
In 1 year, right?
In 1 year. First year was about 40K because I was giving more than half away to between my team lead, brokerage fees, all that stuff. And as we speak, I have my capping transaction here in a week. So from mid-January to mid-April, I will be at 100% commission. And you better believe I'm going to get some deals done in that time frame.
Oh, absolutely. We're going for icon status this year, aren't we?
It's a little tougher in my market, only because it's not so much a volume game here. Very few agents do 20 plus deals. It's just, it's a tight and small market. But if everybody's watched your channel and they've seen the whole eXp explained bit or what parts you've shared with them so far, I'm sure more's coming, but the whole icon status thing is such an appeal for so many agents and top producers around the globe, because that whole commission split is rendered, impotent. Not only that, you're now earning more than 100% commission.
100 plus, like we like to say, right?
Yep.
100 plus shop is what we are.
Beautiful.
All right. So, and then I just wanted to touch back. You did mention, all the value that we get right with the Wolfpack. And a lot of people don't realize that's in addition to the 50 plus hours of training and support, cloud brokerage support, everything else we get from eXp. This is just our group. We're talking about the Wolfpack, right? But there's tons of more support and training out there, which is, it's mind-boggling, right? But hey, we're here and it seems to be working. More people are coming. We hit 70,000 agents. I'm sure we'll be at 100,000 soon, eXp wide, not Wolfpack. So, now that we know a little bit about you, we know what you're producing, you're here at Wolfpack, everything, it offers. How are you doing things differently? I'm sure a lot of people who are going to be watching this video are like, wait a minute, this guy's not calling anybody, he's not door knocking, and he's producing 8 million a year, right? So why don't you give us a little bit of insight to what you're doing to produce these numbers?
Absolutely. So it all starts with video, right? Getting your face in front of people. And then there's a tendency, right, among real estate agents, and whether it's intentional or not, everybody says, if you can get me in front of somebody, they will want to work with me, right? I'm great. I know what I'm doing. I'm confident, but I just need to get in front of people. That's why people kill for working open houses, right? Because you get that face-to-face interaction. But what most of the population is missing is you can do that anytime you want. And what we talk about again in the Wolfpack is one-to-one versus one-to-many. So video content puts you in front of many people at a time. You record that message once, you do it top notch, and it's working for you 24/7 behind the scenes, right? I'm asleep and I'm getting emails from people at 2 a.m. because that's when they're ready. That's when they have time. That's when they can't sleep, whatever it is. They're now working on their own schedule, but they're interacting with me, right? They're hearing directly from my mouth what I would tell them if I was face to face with them, but I don't have to take that time each and every time to do that. So video content, I house that all on YouTube. And the SEO strategy, the optimization is all covered inside of the Social Agent Academy, which again, we all get free access to thanks to Mike. Yep. Now, a lot of agents in our group, I know we've highlighted many in the past, Suman's kind of the shining example of what a new agent can do in a new market with no sphere, with our methods. That didn't quite work for me in the market I'm in. So we all know every market's a little bit different. I'm in a small market. It's an island that's 7 miles long. It is not big. And it's a tourist town. So there's not the high search volume that others get in bigger cities. So I needed to supplement that. And I know that people who buy here and who vacation here spend a lot of their time on Facebook. We have probably 15 plus groups based around Ocean City and different aspects of it. Most of those were, shocking, created by agents, right? They figured it out, but it was generic, right? It's just Ocean City 08226, and there's everybody talking about everything, kicking and screaming about X, Y, and Z. It's everything under the sun. It's very non-focused. So what I decided to do was to create a group that is hyper-focused specifically on real estate, but that's appealing, right? You're not going to call it Ocean City, New Jersey real estate. Thumbs up. Who's going to want to join that? What does that even mean?
Right.
So my group is called Tips for Buying in OCNJ. And OCNJ is the shorthand for Ocean City, New Jersey. Everybody who is familiar with the market knows what that means. So growing that group was an interesting journey. There was no roadmap for it, right? Facebook groups are mentioned as a way to grow, but again, everybody's market and techniques are different. So what I chose to do was leverage the videos I was creating to help grow the group. But what I did was post my best videos, my biggest value adds, sometimes in those existing groups, just adding value, saying, hey, for instance, I think my first one was about flooding, right? We're a coastal town, flooding is a concern. You're buying here, you need to understand if you're going to be in an area that floods frequently or infrequently and plan accordingly. So it was all about, there's an upcoming nor'easter, and hey, here's how to use this flood mapping tool, right? You can figure out if you need to move your car based on data, based on numbers, not on speculation, not on hearsay. So if you're tired of moving your car or trying to figure out when and where, check this out. I'm going to walk you through how to use this map. That was it. Had nothing to do with buy with me, sell with me, give me a call, and then none of that. No call to action, nothing. Just here's a helpful thing for you guys. That blew up. And all I did was supplement that in a comment, said, hey, if you like videos like this, come check out this group. That got me my first, I think, 200 people in the group, and I'm almost at 1,200. So the other aspect, and everybody has this, if you're monitoring Facebook, you're in a group, every once in a while, gold mine comes or a gold rush comes. Hey, I'm considering or looking to buy here. What agent do you recommend? How many agents go on there and say, oh, me, call me, please, here's my number.
Yes.
Speaking of reeking of desperation, and more importantly, not adding any value. Why would they call you? What separates you from the 55 other people who respond?
Besides, you were the first one to comment on their post, right?
Right. It's nothing. So my other biggest growing tactic has been on those posts to answer their actual question, right? How do I find a good agent? Who's a good agent? Well, guess what? I have an agent selection guide that I provide. It's free. It doesn't point them towards me necessarily, but guess what? I check all the boxes because I created the guide. So if you look at that,
with value.
Correct. And guess what? If they choose somebody else, that's okay. That's totally okay. It's fine. It's legitimately fine. But say, hey, here's a link to this guide that's in this group. There's a ton of value in here about buying in this market. Feel free to check it out. That's it. No call me, no nothing. There's no sales pitch. My description in that group is something along the lines of just helpful information, no sales pitches. Period. There's never anything. I'm not in there pitching anybody. I just post value add content multiple times a week, and people appreciate that.
Yes.
Put yourself out there in that position. What would you be looking for? That's what I try to do.
Yeah, and I think that's an amazing approach, and it's obviously working for you, right? I mean, I know me personally, and I'm sure as you and many other agents out there, when you're on Facebook, where like we all are, right, monitoring a lot of these groups and just whatever it is we're doing on there, it takes less than a minute from when a potential client posts on there, and you have 3 other agents saying, call me, right? And like you said, they're not leading with value. By you leading with value, it's 2 things. One, you're answering their questions, you're listening to them, you're creating that relationship. You're giving them access to a group that provides tons more information, right? And if they're moving to the area, they're going to need that information, especially like you said, living on that island is very unique. So having that provides the ultimate value for someone who's going to be living in the area. And then also it's a break, right? It's a refreshing break from 35 agents saying, use me, pick me, I want to be your agent, I'll do this, that, and the other, right? You don't have to do that because they can see that you're already providing value and they're not even your client yet. So I think that was an amazing thing. And I know that's some of your techniques I know we talked about, I'm going to be implementing in my Facebook group, making some changes. So I think that's just great. Those were kind of the main things I wanted to cover today. I open the mic up to you if you want to just, add any tidbits or anything like that to finish off the interview.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. And my biggest piece of advice, this all can be very overwhelming, right? Whether you're a social media user or not, or if you're already trying any of these things or not, there's still very much a trial and error portion to this, right? Just creating a YouTube video does not mean you get business, right? You need to do all of the optimization. You need to understand your audience and what they're actually wanting to know. And then lo and behold, you're there to answer the question. There is usually some run-up time, right? In any of these social platforms, from when you start creating content to when you start actually getting business from it. So it's not an overnight success, but the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to be able to change your business, change your life, and most importantly, get your time back.
Absolutely. One thing that come to mind, and I want to touch on that before closing out this. So one of the things I wanted to touch back on, because you mentioned, we're talking about providing value in Facebook groups. I know we talked about this the other day offline, so I wanted to get this out there because I feel like it's important, especially based off of what you just said, is people are coming to this group, right? And they're looking for answers to questions. And what is the thing you told me that you do differently in your group that is just, it's so simple, it's right there in your face, but yet not many people are doing it?
So there's two things. There's the one that we talked about and one that just came to my mind that I didn't mention before. So you have the option when you create a Facebook group to require, it's not really required, but it seems like it is, required to answer questions to join the group, right? It's a private group. It allows me to help screen out other agents because I always have agents trying to join and I want no part of that, right? And I make it very clear with them when I decline them. This is off limits. This ain't happening. If you want to watch my videos, if you want to see what's going on in here, go to YouTube. You don't need to be a part of this. It's fine. But one of those questions is, what are you hoping to get from this group, or what questions do you have? If you let me know here, happy to point you to that directly so that you don't have to comb through all of the value and content that's here. So that gets people right off the top sometimes with, hey, I'm looking for information on blank. I can DM them, hey, here's a link to this video where I covered it. Or if it's something I haven't done, but clearly somebody wants to know, I'll make a video on it and I will schedule that in. But the other component, and the main way, how I decide what topics I'm going to cover. So I do a poll, usually once a week in the group. It's an actively engaged group of, I'm going to run my top 3 ideas usually for what's coming next and ask them, hey, what do you want to see?
So simple.
And sometimes, right? Sometimes one totally slams the other 2 and I just put the other 2 in the trash and just do the one. There are times, and it's happened more often than not, where somebody will add their own option to that poll because you can do that. And that option slams all 3 of mine. So I put all 3 of mine in the trash and I do what they clearly want or need at the moment. So it is a way to stay relevant with your audience and with your people that you are trying to help, to make sure you're adding the value they need, not what you think they might need, right? Make sure your messaging is right. So it allows me to take that in conjunction with, again, all of the keyword research and SEO optimization we do for YouTube and merge them in a way that's most beneficial to the people who actually need it.
Yes, that's amazing. I love it. And like I said, it's something that I don't see many agents doing, right? This is, again, leading with value. Right? People are telling you what they want, you're giving it to them. And not only that, they're providing you with content to produce, right? What video am I going to make this week? Hey, Bob in my group says I should make, how to deal with flood insurance claims and OC&J, right? And then you post that content, whether it's an article, video, whatever it is, and they're getting the value they want. So what's to stop them from just referring you to somebody? Hey, come join this group. Everything you need is here. More potential clients.
Yep. And can I want to add one more thing to this. And this is only because I just got a call yesterday from a guy who's coming to town this weekend, he's been in the group the entire time, has been following everything. And he just had a question based on my last video, which is funny, right? They'll call and say, hey, I watched your video and it made me think of this. And they reach out. Now, the best part is, since he's seen everything, right? All of my opinions and projections for what 2022 is going to look like, what you should do, how you should prepare. He's ready. We are already on the same wavelength, right? So when we do meet in person, there's no feeling out process. There's no trying to assess, all right, how should I approach this? How do I need to talk to this person for them to understand? There's no scripts needed. There's no anything. It's a human interaction.
Yes.
And they're on the same page here. These are people that I love to work with. They're not a pain in my ass. And let's be real, sometimes we get those clients that we'd honestly rather probably not have. And guess what? I can now pick and choose who I actually want to work with, because I'm not dying on the vine saying, oh my God, when is my next lead going to come? When's my next deal going to come? I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And you can weed out all the unnecessary like selling and all that, because they're already comfortable with you and they know you provide value. So that just leaves you to focus on providing them with that value they came to for to begin with. I think it's amazing. I think everything you're doing out there is amazing. Huge fan.
Appreciate that.
If you guys want to check out Nick's YouTube channel, I'll make sure to link that down below. Definitely check it out. Provides tons of value, especially if you're looking to move to his market. This is the guy you want to work with right here. So thank you so much for coming on today. Well, I'll touch base. We'll talk later.
No, we'll be in touch. But let me jump in one last final time.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I'm going to shut up and move on.
No, go for it.
If anybody is watching this and intrigued, I would encourage you to reach out to Mike, right? If you're hearing about all the value that's in the Wolfpack, everything that we have going on here and what we do differently, if you want to know more, reach directly out to him. He'll probably have a link down in the description to book some time on his calendar to talk. And again, as you can hopefully tell by our conversation, we don't do sales things, right? We're not pushy. We're not going to tell you something that is simply not true. We're here to help. We're here to add value and to hopefully help you guys make the best possible decision for your career.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I did forget to add that in there, so I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good
definitely. Stuff. Wolfpack, eXp, tons of value added. If you're looking to make a change, or if you want to at least just have a conversation and explore a little bit more about what we provide and what the realtor lifestyle is like here, and our tight-knit group. I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram or if you follow Nick on any of his socials, you see we have our, we're posting our mastermind calls, right? Next week, Glenn Sanford, the founder of eXp, is coming to our group as a guest speaker, which he's never done before for any other group. That shows the value we add not only to you, but to eXp. So definitely reach out if you are interested. With that being said, that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Nick, thank you for coming on. It really was a pleasure getting to know you. And I hope we stay in touch moving forward.
You got it, brother. Absolutely. And thank you again for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. All right, everyone, have a good day.